What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with Astrodfs bringing you a brand new video. Today's video going over Week 12's Monday Night Showdown between the Bears and Vikings. So I got the spreadsheet pulled up. I just want to show like how much of an impressive day it was for me yesterday. I've been killing it on DraftKings this year. I think I'm above a 75% win rate, so it's really good. Did have just a crazy good line with Pat Freiermuth in there. Michael Pittman, Josh Allen. Unfortunately, Stephon Diggs wasn't as good as I thought he'd be. But, the numbers were really good overall, top to bottom, especially for the price point. So, finding a lot of good value here. And, yeah, just getting to it on the Showdown. So, if you guys are interested in, getting my player pool and getting all that, just click the link in the description down below. I have spreadsheets for almost every slate. Just depends on what my schedule is, but I usually have all showdowns, but I will for sure have main slate spreadsheet. So just going into this matchup, Justin Jefferson is the only player questionable that we're looking at, and it's true questionable. He's expected not to play, but that doesn't mean anything. He's been limited all week. Bears are a very up and down team. There's times where the Bears offense looks really good and they're putting up points like they did against Detroit. Detroit wins, but Minnesota's in a playoff hunt as well. So don't know what they're going to do with him, but he is expected out. That is the news coming. Nothing official yet, so don't fully fade away from it yet until you hear official confirmation. But Justin Fields, the most expensive player on both sides. And it's not even that high of a price point, especially on both, actually. Usually, if you get a player that's above 12,000, Fanduel above 17,000, that's when it starts to get a little fun trying to make your lineups. But I think his price is fair for his fantasy output. Third best PFF pass block advantage. Minnesota allows a lot of passing and rushing yards, just not a lot of touchdowns, and that's kind of what you want out of Justin Fields. Granted, the touchdowns are always nice, but if they come, they come. If they don't, we get yardage, and that's something you like. You love the touchdown upside, but you like the yards. So Justin Fields in this matchup historically has not played good against Minnesota. His primetime numbers are very boom or bust for the most part. So you are taking a risk playing him, but I feel on a slate like this, good one to get him. DJ Moore right behind him is number one receiver. Third most expensive on FanDuel, second on DraftKings, and this is not counting Justin Jefferson. So I'm going to say second. Great matchup for DJ Moore. I think out of all the Bears wide receivers and just putting that stuff together, DJ Moore has a great output tonight. Minnesota's secondary has not been as good. Like I said, they don't allow a lot of touchdowns, but they allow a lot of yards. Seventh most receiving yards to wide receivers. DJ Moore second on the team in red zone targets. One of the best wide receivers against zone coverage, and Minnesota runs zone top 10 in the league. So a lot stands out to like for DJ Moore. So DJ Moore, Justin Fields, I like that stack. And then same thing, Joshua Dobbs. Third most expensive on DK, second most on FanDuel, so you get a little more value on Dobbs. Not much, it's 400, but a little more value on Dobbs than more on DK. And on FanDuel, you get more value of more than Dobbs. So, but yeah, Dobbs has got the number one PFF pass block advantage. Bears giving up the second most passing touchdowns. Bears have the highest red zone conversion percentage against, which means if a team gets in the red zone, I think it's like 75% of the time they're scoring. So, and Josh Dobbs is on a 5-game rushing touchdown streak. So, just getting 6 points a game, just off of a rushing touchdown. Bears rushing defense has been pretty good though, but still a rushing quarterback will just get yards regardless, and especially someone like Josh Dobbs who's still learning the system. There's going to be times where he's just going to scramble because that's the only read he's got. So I do like Josh Dobbs though. If I had to pick a quarterback, I'm leaning Fields, just because of the rushing upside. But there's the easiest scenario where the Bears just can't move the ball, incompletion, stuff like that, and Minnesota's on the field a lot. And like I said, Bears' rush defense is good. Minnesota's rush defense is good. So it just seems like the passing game is the option here tonight in this matchup. TJ Hawkinson to go with Dobbs. Yes, like 5th most receiving touchdowns to tight ends the Bears have allowed. 34 targets in the 3-game. Dobbs has been the quarterback. Second best PFF tight end advantage. 9 red zone targets. So a lot to like for TJ Hawkinson as well. And him being the 4th most expensive on both sides. Then Jordan Addison. I like Jordan Addison just as much. 13 red zone targets. Really good matchup with Stevenson now out. We'll see some Jalen Johnson, but overall, Jordan Addison's the number 1 receiver. TJ Hawkinson, the number 1 pass catcher. So, obviously, the pricing is still fair on both sides between Hawkinson and Addison, but the prices are pretty similar. So, if you're gonna have to pick one or the other for the most part, unless you're gonna do a full fade on the Bears side, which you could easily do that. Get a Dobbs, Hawkinson, Addison stack and run it back with somebody on the Bears. So that'll be interesting to see. Deontay Foreman out. Alexander Mattison and Khalil Herbert I have as fades. I just don't like running backs really in this slate. I have Ty Chandler as a like and Roschon as a value, but overall I don't like the running backs in this slate. There could be scenarios, right? Like all the numbers say for these running backs to have essentially bad games on the ground. Receiving is a different story, and we'll get to that shortly. But Cole Kmet, 6,200 on DraftKings, 10,000 on Fanduel. So, yet again, one of the only mid-tier price guys I like. There's not a lot of mid-tier pricing either, right? You get pretty much Khalil Herbert, Cole Kmet, Chandler, and then the kickers. That's it. So, Cole Kmet, though, four touchdowns. Minnesota's allowed to tight ends. Cole Kmet getting 31.4% of the red zone targets. Don't love him tonight, right? It's not a great, phenomenal matchup. And Cole Kmet seems like he's been pretty much a touchdown upside tight end this season. So if he doesn't get that touchdown, his fantasy numbers aren't being complemented as much. You're not seeing a big high number in there. He's gonna get some volume, but Minnesota and Chicago plays tight ends both pretty evenly. Ty Chandler I have as a like, especially on FanDuel. I think his price is really good. You're paying $2,000 less than Alexander Mattison on DraftKings, $1,800 or $1,600. So it's still a big discount that you're getting. I think Ty Chandler is a better receiving back than Alexander Mattison. Better red zone numbers. Like Alexander Mattison has 9 rushing attempts for -7 yards in the red zone. So kind of like Ty Chandler tonight for that aspect. And Bears giving up the most receiving yards and touchdowns to running backs in the league. So even Alexander Mattison, like I'm playing less in the field. I'm still going to have ownership of him. But the receiving game for both these guys should be there. Like, the receiving prop should be really good. Greg Joseph, Cairo Santos, I think on every primetime slate, the way that primetime slates are of not hitting unders, not being really good competitive offensive games, kickers are always in play. It doesn't mean that kickers are always going to be, they're not usually either. Like, you don't see kickers typically in the top 5 points scored. But in primetime games, you have to have a good amount of ownership to kickers. It's just how it is. Both kickers averaging 7 points a game. Chicago giving up 75% of red zone conversions to touchdowns is worrisome. But that means that they're allowing a lot of yards and allowing a lot of drives to hit that side of the field, so makes you like kickers. And on the contrary, the Bears not being able to finish in the red zone, but lately they have been better, but still that kicking upside is what you like. Nothing on Darnell Mooney. If you want to play him, go for it. If not, fine. I'm kind of even on him. I think his price is fair on FanDuel. DraftKings I don't really like it. The Bears, I'm just gonna. I didn't have it yet, but Bears are a full fade for me. There's not a lot of upside. There's the turnover rate that the Vikings have. Bears got 3 picks last week, but they don't get a lot of sacks. So there's not a lot besides maybe a couple turnovers that they get. But the sack upside is not there, especially against Minnesota. So, but yeah, the Vikings defense, though, before we go on, Fields averaging getting sacked 3.6 times a game. It's not the offensive line giving up the sacks. It's Fields moves around, and sometimes he goes for that, that scramble, ends up getting tackled, goes as a sack. So, I do like the Vikings defense here, especially turnover side. So, now under the values, Roschon Johnson on both sides of value for me. He has the receiving upside for me. I like him as a receiving back for the Bears. And averaging 4.5 yards per carry. So if he does get a carry or two, it's higher than what Minnesota allows. And he's been probably the better running back, except for Deontay Foreman, who just has some rushing attempts where he just gets yards. But Roschon is a pretty consistently good running back when rushing. Not going to get a big breakaway, but going to, run hard. Kind of not as aggressive as Isaiah Pacheco, but right behind him. Kind of reminds me of like how Zeke was when he was coming out of college for the Cowboys. Just anytime it seemed like he was going to get, -2 yards, -2 yards tackle behind the line, he somehow find a way to gain 2 yards. And that's kind of what I like. Roschon Johnson, that's the running style he has. But Brandon Powell, 2,000 on DraftKings, 7,500 as well on Fanduel. Third target on this offense, I have him above KJ Osborne, who I have as a fade. Just the matchup is bad for Osborne. Brandon Powell and Jordan Anderson are pretty much going to be splitting, seeing Jalen Johnson, who's a lock corner. He doesn't get a lot of interceptions, but doesn't allow a lot of yards and receptions. So it is worrisome for both of them. But like I said, when you're going to be facing the 4th-string corner for the Bears, I like Brandon Powell and Jordan Anderson for that aspect. So then last but not least, Tyler Scott, 1,200 on DraftKings, 7,000 on FanDuel. It's a good matchup for him and DJ Moore. Darnell Mooney's matchup is okay, but I prefer Scott and Moore's matchup better. Doesn't get a lot of volume. Could see a game where he gets 5+ targets. I don't think there's a whole lot of value as of right now on paper. It's pretty much, 3 guys, and then figuring out who you're going to fade on these top 5. So hope you guys did enjoy the video. Like I said, if you guys want these spreadsheets, especially on Sunday when I have my full player pool accessible to you guys, just click the link. We have a very cheap subscription package, and like I said, this is, you get a player pool, and feel free to ask any questions on who would you play a 2-stack over this 2-stack, 2v2, 3v3, stuff like that. Like, I've been having a very successful year of finding value in certain positions. So hope you guys do enjoy, and I will see you in the next one.